This is a channel message from the angels telling us that our awakening is coming soon. Welcome back to my channel, you guys. And if this is your first time here, welcome. I'm Ann Tucker. I'm a channel, a trance channel, a channel from the angelic realm. That means I go raise my awareness up as high as I can go. The messages start to flow. I write them down and I share them here with you guys on YouTube and in my private Facebook group, which you're welcome to join, which is called Spirit Means Business. So in today's message, the angels are talking about the circumstances of our awakening, how it's coming soon. They're talking about our need for preparation, and they're talking about it. It's interesting about our passageway through. They call it our canal, this opening, this spaciousness that we have now to raise our own awareness, our own consciousness as we're moving into, and there's all this sort of earth changes happening around us. So they talk about that. They talk about our process to get there, and they also talk about what we're going to be thinking and what we're going to be feeling after we get there. So it's a great message. I hope you enjoy it. And if you do, please don't forget to like this video and subscribe using that button down below, just there below the description box. Thanks so much. Enjoy the message. Today's live, the angels went back to talking about some of the stuff. You guys know that they shared a lot of messages with us. It was in 2020. Kind of towards the end of, I think it was in 2020, I lose track of time, but towards that second half of the year, they were sharing a lot of messages specifically around some of the hard things that are on the horizon that are part of our awakening, this awakening process. And they have come back and said many times that a lot of these things are, that everything is still yet to pass, that there are hints, there are sort of elements of this. They're saying that it's already, they've been saying that it's already in process, that it's already in the process of happening, but that there's more yet to come, that the real sort of the big shift is not yet here. And in terms of the kind of, there's going to be some sort of a bigger event. And they're talking about that just a little bit in this message, not in a way to make us fearful, but in a way to say, hey, the things that we were talking about before in terms of being prepared, they want us to just keep that up. And they've been very clear about they want us to stay focused on our lives and to be engaged in our lives, that the energy that we're putting into our lives now will carry forward. So it's really important that we continue to invest in now and enjoy life now, but to know that we also have to do these things to make sure that we're comfortable and that we do go through the other side in a really comfortable way. So what really strikes me as they're bringing up this message now is that I personally felt a shift. Like it felt all through the spring. And they said during the spring that we would have this period of calm. And we really did. Like in the spring, like the hardships that might be ahead were not on my mind at all. And it felt like, things were, gradually COVID was opening up and it felt like there's just a lot of optimism, possibility in the air. And then all of a sudden we have this shift of like, there's this massive flooding in Germany and there's all this massive drought and there's flooding here in the South. And we've got the drought is so bad right now. There's more than 70 large wildfires in the West in 12 different states. And the drought is so bad that not only is there, that they're having, their crop production is way down, but it's also led to this massive grasshopper infestation. So there's something like 35 million acres of crops are being devastated by the combination of drought plus grasshoppers. So it's crazy, it's crazy things and if you look at each one, I personally feel like we're all kind of like the frog in the pot of boiling water, that the water gradually gets turned up and it's getting hotter and hotter and the frog doesn't notice it. So the frog doesn't jump out. But that's a little bit, it just feels like there's all these things that just any of these things would be exceptional, but it's just from all over the place, all these random, strange, and you would say, yes, it's climate change, but it's also all of these things one way or another all pile up, right? If we end up having, as this system gets more and more stretched, right? If we're having all the farmers are losing their crops and we have a decrease in food production and then there's something else that piles on top, right? We have less resiliency. And I think that's where I'm looking is there's all these changes that are rippling kind of through the system and decreasing our ability to have resilience in case there is some other larger thing that comes. So I'm personally noticing that things seem to be shifting at the moment. And then with that in mind, here is the message that came through. So I'll share it with you guys now. So, and I'm sorry to be, I hope this isn't a bum out. I hate to share the things that are like, it's not all, wonderful roses, but the truth is they're saying that as we get through this, it is wonderful roses. Like we are heading, this is good news. Like we are heading to something wonderful, and we need to keep that in mind. So they say, we say, welcome, we are beginning. We have for your perusal our thoughts about your ascension, your beginning understanding of your arrival here. Within time passing soon arrives the events of which we foretold. You are warned to bring to mind your own safety, to have prepared some route of escape from waters high, some preparation of foodstuffs and water clear, of having methods by which you can reveal yourself in safety. These are all necessary to have, and we wish it were not so, but have them you must. So, and thanks to you guys for the support. I appreciate it very much. So here, just to kind of break that down, they're saying that it's the same sort of message that they were giving us before, that you want to have, and you don't have to go crazy when it comes to having like a back stock of food. You can do literally just, one of those big bags of rice and a big bag of beans. And yeah, it might get a little bland, but you're going to have food and you'll be okay. And my understanding is that this period of hardship, think like 2 years, and then things we kind of start to pull ourselves out. So it doesn't have to be forever. And it doesn't have to be complicated. You don't have to, have every possible thing, but just think about 2 years of rice and beans and having that kind of tucked away somewhere where it just sits. And that beans, they literally last forever. And canned goods, by the way, they last like 4 years beyond their expiration date. So you could just get a few things, set them aside, and then don't think about it anymore. So just make it easy on yourself. They also talk about a route of escape from high water. So if you are in a place that could potentially flood or that could potentially be affected by tsunami, think ahead and plan how you would get out. Just have it thought out in advance. Think through how are you personally going to be on the move, so that you can, if that comes up, right? You want to have a plan in mind. You don't want to be trying to scramble at the last minute. And they're also saying water clear. So they talked about this before. We have to have a way to purify our water just in case. So you can capture water and purify water, which is great. And we all talked about the Berkey as being a phenomenal solution because you don't have to boil the water, right? The Berkey is a big water filtration system, and it's a nice thing to have anyways for your family because it just gives you really lovely clean water. But there's other much less expensive things. There's the Life Straw, which you can get, a 3-pack for like $10 or something on Amazon, and they work great for water filtration. So just simple things. Like I said, doesn't have to be crazy. Then they also said having methods by which you can reveal yourself in safety. So by this, I think they're talking about how do you tell your family that you're all right? How do you check on your family where you're not having to like run around and when things are dangerous, trying to check on people? Do you have in advance, maybe have a check-in spot that you have with your family where, okay, if things go bad, we're all going to, rendezvous at this place? Or one thing to keep in mind is that if there's issues with our communication system, that a text will much more likely be much more likely to get through than a call, because texts are sent in batches. And as soon as there's any availability, then the batch is sent through. So it's easier to text if there's a problem with communications than it is to call. There's also things like we talked about before. This is sort of in our previous conversations. We talked about, and I have one actually, these things. We talked about this, which is the Gotenna. We talked about the Gotenna, which doesn't really do anything right now because nobody has them on. But if you have one and you have an ability to charge it, then everybody else who has one, these serve as a way to create a virtual network that one person's signal bounces off another person's signal, off of another person's signal. So there is the possibility that you can reach people with this, even though the distance that it travels is not very far at all. In a wide open space, it can go a couple miles. In a city, it might not go very far at all. But if a lot of people have them, then it really can go far. So, and I think in a disaster situation, a lot of people who have them would be using them. So anyway, so it's something to think about. But having a plan, just even where you say, hey, we're going to all call this one person who we know lives in a safe place, so that everybody has a check-in spot, something like that. A family plan is what they're talking about, so that you can reveal that you're safe. How do you do that? And someone is saying, I have that. I have to find it again. The Gotenna, I know. Just keep it somewhere with your, with batteries. Keep it somewhere where you can charge it. and then just tuck it away and don't think about it anymore. So, all right. So they're saying these are all necessary to have. We wish it were not so, but have them you must. So that's kind of, we talked about all this stuff before. Simple things to do. Do it once. It's like set it and forget it, right? Do it and then don't worry about it, and don't let it take up your mind share, because we do need to be investing in our life now and enjoying our life now. So they go on to say, you are embarking on a grand canal, a passage through time, a transference of your knowledge and attitudes about the self into another dimension of reality, into one in which you are freed from some heaviness that does acquire your own resolve to transfer on. So we're being freed from this dimension of reality where we have our karma, we have all the heaviness of the karma. And they're saying that it takes our own resolve to move on from that we have to have our own commitment to our own healing, to our own becoming aware of our own junk, right? To move on. And then they go on to say, to become more than this one expression done, to have the chance to be and feel your own being rising within this construct now. It is possible, coming soon. You are facing sometimes, and by the way, I want to point out, they talked about it as a grand canal, and it's more than just one time, but they mentioned canal. And think of it, it's interesting, the wording. You are embarking on a grand canal, a passage through time, a transference of your knowledge and attitudes about the self into another dimension of reality. So they're really painting a picture. It's like parting the waves and passing through unharmed. And this sort of, this parting is the best way to describe it. And I think it's an interesting visual, and nothing they ever say is accidental. There's a deliberateness to their words, and their words have a lot of, so we have to, I want to kind of pull that up and look at it and say, okay, there's something in there. But they mention it again as we go on. And you're saying, yes, we are in a 5 universal year. Expect the unexpected. Anything can change, and to be prepared. Resilience is the key. Oh, wow. Okay. Thank you for sharing that. Next year, it will be a 6 year. And this is about the family, nurturing and healing and health, and looking out for each other, bringing together supportive communities. Oh, wow. That's amazing. I do know, by the way, that the angels told me that, how I did the 9 angelic frequencies? There's another series of frequencies that will be coming in. I don't know when it's going to come in, but they're called the world healing frequencies is what they've said. And so I would think that they're going to come in after the fact and help with that. So it would fit with, I'm going to guess a 6 year sounds like a good time for that. So yeah, thank you very much for sharing that. All right. They go on to say, you are facing some times of hardships, dears, and must know we are present for all you will go through. We will rise within each heart that does remain to endure the challenge of what is left behind. You will find yourselves becoming more human, more kind and caring, more enlivened by each other's need and presence. This caring presence you become does enliven all beings here that remain. There is the thought we must endure, face on to create anew what was behind, what we have lost, but not in that shadow still. Create anew from the heart that does evolve, of caring kindness for self and planet, does become universally felt. So, wow, I think this is super exciting. The idea here they're saying is that pretty much when we get to the other side, that all of us that choose to stay, and that are living in that time, that they say that everybody will feel differently about it, and we'll be looking at each other, and it's like, well, we'll have this sort of gratitude for each other. They're saying that there's more kind and caring, more enlivened by each other's need and presence. So it's like there's this sense of bonding that happens, having gotten through something difficult, right? And then they say that there is the thought, and they sort of are speaking here what our thoughts are going to be at that time. They're saying what we're going to be thinking about is that we all have to sort of unify to face on and create the sort of some of the things that we lost, but not in the shadow, not the bad things, right? Not the things that we say, okay, those things we really could have done better last time. They're saying we're how can we create the society and the safety that we had before, and the security and the good things that we had before without the bad things, so without the shadow. So they said create anew from the heart that does evolve. So create it with this new feeling in mind of caring about each other, of caring and kindness for self and the planet that does become universally felt. So it's like this is just sort of where we're at. These are our thoughts after the fact. So this is where our mindset is going to be, which I think sounds amazing. And Brenda's saying that's exciting about the new angelic frequency series. Yeah, right? I'm excited for it too. So yeah, we'll see when it comes in. They told me about it, but I don't know when they'll reveal it. So, all right. So they go on to say, we instruct you how to belong in this new great becoming, how to bring your own heart forward into being as a light, as you can hold within. More light is necessary, dears. More light must evolve within the self. More openness to your own becoming, less resistance to that which you are. Fight it not, receive it well. You are transforming as we call you onward through the canal of which we spoke. So this, they're talking about the canal again, this sort of separation, this movement between, I think it's between dimensions, between 3D and 5D, this canal of opportunity that we're trying to guide us through. And here they're saying, okay, like here, they're going to instruct us on how to do it. It's to work on our healing. It's like what they were talking about in last week's message about like, hey, we really need, they're calling us like focus on our healing, focus on, what it is that we need to do to become more self-aware and to release the junk that's holding us back. So they're saying more light. We have to hold more light to get through. You get through this canal, this parting of the waters, whatever it is, right? This passageway from 3D to 5D. And they're saying, don't fight, don't whatever it is that we're in resistance. Our resistance is the place to look. What are we fighting against inside of ourselves? What are we in resistance to? What triggers us? What are we rejecting? Those are all the parts of ourself that we're rejecting. So they're saying you are transforming as we call you onward through the canal of which we spoke. So they're really trying to draw us through right now. They go on to say, this transference energetic information on the surface, this transference energetic transformation on the surface of the planet does call you onward within. And this is what I think right now, this energetic transformation on the surface, like it feels like the surface of the planet's already changing, like it's already happening, just like they said, like all these crazy weather events, all these, the crazy drought with the grasshoppers and the floods and the locusts, like you just keep on going, right? There's so much craziness happening. So they're saying, hey, it's this energetic transformation on the surface of the planet does call you onward within. We bring the chance, the opportunity to rise within, and it is a voyage held open in this change, held asunder for yourselves to pass beyond where you have been, to take on new beliefs and means of being. It is opening soon, the canal within. The space you inhabit, your own mind will open to receive it, and it will carry you forward through to another place where you can habituate yourself to become more of what you are. This passage happens soon. The opening does call. We cannot determine as time does pass, it will unveil. So they're really saying they soon in angel time, it could be any time, but I get the feeling that it's sooner than we would imagine. That it could be like you're talking about, we are in a 5-year and next year is a 6-year, it could be soon. So that's the thing, is they're saying, just be prepared for it, just know. And Nanana's saying, I'm witnessing so much change with my relatives and friends this year. Seems like many are finally shifting to be true to their desire and make changes accordingly. That's such great news. Yeah, absolutely. Like so many more people are sort of opening up, really opening and becoming receptive, and starting to see themselves and starting to understand like everything that's outside that bugs them is actually inside. Like that's the key, right? That's where we need to get, where we're all having that accountability internal and saying, okay, what is it in me that I'm fighting against? So that they're saying that it's opening and this chance. I think there's more opportunity for healing now than ever before, because it's like this canal they're talking about, like they are holding it open, like they're creating this space for our healing. And it's part of it is energetic. And that energy is all this transformation that's happening on the planet, all the craziness, all the disturbance, all the upheaval on the planet also creates space for our own internal agitation, which helps us to move forward. So it's all related. So, all right. So then they go on to say, be prepared physically, mentally, emotionally for what will come. Do understand it as opportunities, dear, as the chance to move forward beyond where you have been, locked in you have felt among the tensions and angers of your time. These will be amiss, no longer relevant. You will feel the opening of one upon another. The times do blend, and you are lifted in between, allowed to pass unharmed, envoyed into this new reality and way of being. So yeah, so again, this conversation about the canal, this opening, this passageway that we're supposed to be going through. And I think it's like they're saying, okay, our role, our job is just the inner work. That's what we're working on. That and having your preparations, having those simple things we talked about. That's our job right now. Rebecca's saying also kids are feeling it intensely, both in good and bad ways. Wonder how we can support them. Oh, such a good question, Rebecca. Yeah, I think you're right. I really do. And I know there's people in our community that really focus on kids and working with kids. So if that's you, it would be interesting to hear from you here, what we can do. Okay, they go on to say, fear not what comes. It will pass and soon. In this lifetime and sooner still than you imagine, dears. Be in preparation, but have in your mind the target still of that where you will evolve to. Be in mind of chance, of peace, of having all asunder brought into one harmonic choice. Transference of your own feelings into the collective, feeling how you're supported by them now, sensing your belonging as you have not done before now. So this, I love this, right? I love this part where they're really talking about what the goal is, where we're trying to get. And I do know that part of this that they talked about is like we'll get to a place where we have, one world government. Like that's huge. Like think about all of the little fiefdoms and the fighting that we do about whose is what and the borders and all this kind of stuff. What if it's one world government? If we're thinking of the benefit of everybody equally. And that's I know radical idea, but in the wake of a big disruption, then it starts to make sense that could actually come to pass. But here they're talking about this idea in terms of us feeling the transference of your own feeling into the collective. It is having all asunder. So all these competing interests, all of this separation and strife that we have in our society now brought into one harmonic choice. So it's like all of a sudden everybody's getting along again. That transference of your own feelings into the collective so that you're feeling like you're supported by the collective. So rather than feeling like you don't belong, feeling like where are my people? Like how do I feeling like an oddball, which so many of us do, right? I think we're all of us, especially if you're drawn into this group, I'm betting that you have felt like an oddball in your life, that you have felt like you're not like everybody else. And I certainly have felt that way too. And I think that's really common among all of us. And imagine not feeling that. Imagine feeling like your feelings are in the collective and that you're connected and you're supported by the collective. And wouldn't that be radical? That would be a massive shift. So they say, sensing your belonging as you have not done before now. It is happening in this lifetime, soon as you are understanding. So they're clear about that. This is not soon angel time. They're saying soon as we are understanding. So although they don't understand time. So hopefully that's clear. We're not really sure. Soon. Be prepared in the light for what will become. In fear at times, we know it's passage. They're saying they know that we're going to have fear. Do not alarm the self. All will be well. You will arrive. We see it now. It will become as we have said. So, and they're saying, hey, they already see the outcome, that they see across all time and space. So they know the outcome. So they say, we see it now. Do not fear. You will arrive. You will be okay. But they do want us to take our piece in it, right? And work on our healing and make sure you do these simple things that you can do in terms of preparation. And, we don't know, like you may be in a place where flooding isn't an issue. You may be in a place where you have plenty of water. Like we don't really know what's going to affect you where, but this is sort of general guidelines of things that we can do just to take care of ourselves and potentially take care and help other people. So you're saying, I don't have my own kids. My friends' kids are really struggling. I'm so sorry to hear that. Yeah, I know that it is especially on the heels of the year of isolation of COVID, right? And you're saying, wow, one world governing. I know. Can you even imagine that? But think about all the problems it would solve, right? Feeling like an oddball. Yep. And grateful not to have fear. Me too. So anyways, I hope it was helpful, you guys. An interesting message. And I said, I think it's matching the tone of what's going on this week in terms of the world, in terms of all of the craziness of the weather and the heat and the fires and the floods. And the earth is going through a lot of change. All this upheaval is creating more and more space for our own internal upheaval and our own healing, which is what we are all working on here. And for those of you who loved the Angelic Frequency series, don't miss out on Peace Bathing, which starts, it's coming up on July 25th at 10 a.m. Pacific time. And that is going to be an amazing opportunity to just raise your energy up into the vibration, the frequency of peace, which is the space from which the angels do all of their healing. So when they lift you up there, all of your tensions, your anxiety, the emotions that you built up in the system, any attachments, things that you don't want are all washed away. So it's a wonderful way to increase your resilience and help you through that canal. So if you're interested in joining us, I will put the link in there. It's on my website, antucker.com/peace-bathing. So anyways, if you're interested, I hope you join us. Have a great weekend, you guys, and I will see you next time. Hugs to all. Bye.